Welcome everybody to the new You, Me, and BTC podcast. I'm getting a little bit more into the voice there. Daniel asked me to do this horrendously insensitive voice.
Yeah. You would make a terrible gay person, Tim. I'm sorry.
Well, I tried anyway. I feel like if I was, though, I would want to do more of the flamboyant voice thing. I feel like that it has a little bit more identity to it. It's a little bit more of a... Because, it's hard... Never mind.
All right. So what's with all the gay stuff?
Oh, no. I was struck by an idea today in the shower. Not a bathhouse or anything like that, but today that it is National Coming Out Day for everybody, which I think includes some of us here on the show. Specifically,
Whoa. John's not here today. It's just us two.
Yeah, I know it is us too, but we come out in our own way. We came out to our families. We actually did this a couple years ago.
Yep, it was tough. It was pretty tough. They thought we were crazy.
And, it was, this is against God. This doesn't make sense. Is the government okay with it? And, of course, I'm talking about coming out as users of Bitcoin. This is how I feel whenever Target or someone uses a holiday for their kind of gain. This is what I'm going to do for... I don't know if it's a holiday yet.
It's getting better, though, because Target lets Bitcoin users into their bathrooms now. So it's actually,
Did they making progress. They made a third bathroom for Bitcoiners. So you have to pay to use it, you fucks. Anyway, yeah. So we're gonna talk about that, and by we did introduce the non-present member of this podcast, John Stewart, but I am Tim Baker, and I'm here with
Daniel Brown. Yeah, we've been talking about how John has been busy getting ready for a wedding for a while now, but now it's getting real serious. It's only a few weeks away, so we might not see him for a while. So until like his honeymoon, he'll be on his honeymoon and be like, "Oh yeah, I can record tonight."
But wait, guys, let me set up my, I'll bring my entire thing for the house, my entire audio system thrown in the backpack. No, leave me alone. I need to talk to people about Bitcoin. Yeah, but that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be talking about looking at how maybe it's different, how maybe it's the same, coming out to people, revealing your Bitcoin obsession, how it's changed over the years, how it still is today. Because again, we need to take advantage of this hashtag. But yes. It's going to be it's not going to work too well because it's going to be coming like 4 days later. So people just think we didn't really get the message. They're like, we're going to come out with it now. We support coming out to everybody. But before we get into that, we do have our sponsor, Satoshi Dice, that we want to talk about again. What Satoshi Dice is, it's a online Bitcoin gambling website. And, one of the biggest things whenever you're looking at one of those is that, is it fair or not? Like you go to the casino to put your money down because you can see them doing things but they do cheat you out of it.
Well, yeah, a real casino is not even close to provably fair. You have no idea what cards are under that blackjack dealer's hands. But you have no idea how that machine that electronic video poker machine works. And their house edges, I'd actually, this would be a fun thing to look up, so do it if you want to. But their house edges at a real casino have to be like 10% or even 20, who knows what. Whereas on a Bitcoin casino, because it's provably fair, the house edges are down to 1 or 2%. Some of them are even lower, I think. So that helps because you know exactly what the odds are and what the money is going to do over time. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's provably fair, which is important. Like I said, you might as well do it completely. If you're going to play online, not go down physically, make sure you're getting it from somebody who is at least better than the casino. So there you go. The other thing you want to look at, just it's easy use, easy sign up, which they make it very easy there to get on, get playing, start making money, start losing money, start doing whatever it is you online gambling people love to do.
Whichever one you want, you can do it.
Yeah, you get to pick and choose. You have a win or lose thing. Satoshi Dice, you can find our link for Satoshi Dice at sd.umeanbtc.
Yep, we definitely love it for everyone to check that out. SD for Satoshi Dice. sd.umeandbtc.com. All right, Tim. So what has changed in the past, I don't know, 3 years? How is it easier or harder or the same coming out as a Bitcoin user? Tell us all about it, because you would know.
Yeah,
about coming out.
Very versed in this subject, very, very close to my heart. So I think it depends a lot over the last year, or whenever you said something to somebody, whenever they first realize that you're doing this, and they start to look a little bit more suspicious of you, at least. Sometimes it would be a suspicion over whether you were buying socks or heroin online.
Yeah, drugs. That's the first thing I thought of too. I mean, that's the first thing I thought of that people used to think of. When they heard about Bitcoin, the first thing they would think of is drugs. Oh, what do you need it for?
Don't you do that on the dark web?
Exactly. Yeah.
What are you buying online? Can't you just
and
get
a
it
lot
at
of
the
people yeah, and a lot of people look down on it for that. So
yeah, it was either, at certain points it was either drugs or just kind of weird novelty items. Other times, like when it was
weird novelty items, you mean like coffee and silver, the stuff we first bought?
Yeah, they're kind of no. I was more thinking of the alpaca socks, but
oh, okay.
I'm talking like real early. Probably a little bit more in
pizza.
Yeah, no. You can always get pizza. What was the
10,000?
Yeah,
10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. That was the first transaction.
So yeah, decently expensive pizzas. Wow, that was bad. Anyway, later on, I think it would depend sometimes on where the price was at. Whenever you said something to people,
True.
A lot of my interactions with my families, like extended family, over holidays, a lot of it depended on where the price was at, if it was high or low, and that also depended on if I wanted to bring it up or not, because if I bring it up when it's just dropped $500, it's a lot worse than whenever I'm like, yeah, it's $1,200 right now. I have a lot of money in it. And everyone's like, wow. And then didn't you lose? I'm like, no, I sold it all before then.
That's also a really good point. I hadn't thought of that one, but it's extremely true. Depending on the price, they'll either be like, oh, didn't that one exchange just crash and it just like ruined all of it? Or they, at certain times, they'd also be like, dude, yeah, it's on the news and everything. The price is going way up. Are you, how rich are you right now?
Or if you had sold them before, you're just like, yeah, no, I kept a lot more than that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They always ask you like, well, did you sell it when it was higher? No, I still don't really care. It's Bitcoin. I care about Bitcoin, not dollars. I'm sorry.
No one ever really seemed to get that I was like, they're like, well, when are you going to sell it? That was more they were saying while it was going up and while it was high, and then they said it actually probably more while it was going down. Like, when are you going to get rid of it? Like, isn't it dead? Stuff like that. But like, anytime you would say something like, I have Bitcoin for the sake of having Bitcoin because I like Bitcoin for Bitcoin, there's like, wait, well, I don't understand.
For Bitcoin for Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's who I am. It's how I was born. It's how I'm made.
Yeah, you were born
no one can
this
understand.
Yeah, no, that actually happened to me a little bit with the bit crystals we were talking about recently too. The price went pretty high recently, and it's a little bit lower now. But yeah, there were a couple people that asked me, like, when it was, we got them for what, like 2 cents a piece, and they peaked at like 40 some cents a piece. And I had people asking me like, well, are you going to sell? And like, it's just like, no, I mean, it might go down, and I might not make as much money, but it also could go up. I'm not like, just because the price is high doesn't mean you have to sell.
Well, yeah, everyone kind of would see it, especially whenever it was going up. Everyone saw it as an investment thing versus something just for people to buy. Like, no one was like, at least they didn't say it directly. They weren't like, oh, that's for drugs, right? And I'm standing with my fucking red eyes and, oh, no. But,
You're like bleach white face.
No, I'm not doing heroin in the basement. I'm not wearing socks. Yeah, so then people would start to see it as more of an investment thing. They look at you like, oh, well, he's at least doing something with his money. It's not something I understand or would condone, but I guess he's doing something with it. And then most recently, it's been just like, oh, okay, you do that. Like, it's not, I haven't had anybody like freak out about it. It's mostly just like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. It's kind of weird. I saw my family recently and I was like, or they asked me, are you still doing that? Like, are you still in Bitcoin? You still have money in Bitcoin? I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's not really moving around now. The new thing is Bit crystals. You need to get on Bit crystals.
Yeah. No, I think now it's like, it's not as negative, but it's equally as what's the word? Obscure to people. To most people, they've heard of it more, and they've heard better things about it, but it's still completely foreign to the average person, I think. Not as much, not as many people, but most people, the average person, it still is just this black box that they've heard stuff about, and they don't know anything about it. And the stuff they've heard is generally more positive, but it's still just totally confusing, and in a lot of ways, they just don't care. Would you agree with that?
I think it's more of a sense of, what's the word for, or it's more a thing of like, not apathy. Can you be, you can be apathetic about like a particular thing.
Yeah, they just don't care. They're like, okay, so it's that thing that banks are trying to maybe use and that might, I don't know, like, that's about it, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it even goes that far. I would argue that most people probably know less about it than they used to, or like just because it's not even know more or less, but have a less of an idea of what's going on with it. Because it's not really in the news too much anymore because...
Well, and it's bigger. Like, even we, like, can barely keep up with the news anymore about which banks are doing what with it and which governments are doing what with it and the startups and the new networks and scaling it. Yeah, even we can barely keep up with all that.
Yeah, but none of that stuff is, like, getting to the front page of Reddit anymore.
Right. Oh, yeah.
None of that stuff is on...
Or the... know, Fox News, or whatever.
Definitely not Fox News or any like mainstream thing. Mostly.
It used to be on the news when the price went from like $60 to $400. I mean, it made the news then, TV. But now, like, because more people know about it, then the news is not so excited about reporting on it because it's not really that new or crazy or exciting anymore. So. Yeah, I agree. It's not on the news nearly as much as it used to be.
Yeah, so I'd say generally the thing is the feeling, especially of people who I've talked to in the past about it. This isn't exactly coming out as much as like reminding them. There's like, oh yeah, you do that, and it's you do that, and the main reaction is just like, oh okay. Why? It's still that why of like, why are you still doing it? Like the price doesn't jump around as much.
Yeah. I get a lot of like why or okay, interesting, the end, I don't care. Like a lot of people will say that it sounds cool and interesting because it does and because it is. But that's as far as they'll go. They're not going to take any action. They're not going to try to get involved themselves. They're just like, oh, that's cool. You do that. Nice. Do you make money? And even if you do make money, even then they're not really that interested. It's just like, well, that's too weird to me. I don't really know how to get involved. That I think is still a pretty decent problem. It's better than it used to be, but still a decent problem. I don't know. Should we talk about that since we're on the subject? How the barrier to entry has changed in Bitcoin. We've brought it up now and then on the show, probably for like our New Year's shows when we would talk about the history of Bitcoin and what all has changed. But it's worth mentioning again and seeing how it's continued to change. Do you have any thoughts on that about the barrier to entry? I mean, we both have pretty unique, well, not unique, but pretty far back, entries that most people don't have to deal with anymore, right?
Yeah, no, you don't have to go to like a shop and save. I probably didn't have to do that either. I was just not thinking about. I mean, I definitely didn't have to because then like the next week I was like, oh, I'll use Mt. Gox. But then we also saw how that worked.
Exactly.
But no, most of those things nowadays, someone asks you, well, how do I get Bitcoins? Well, do you want to use local Bitcoins? Oh, no, I don't want to meet real people. Okay, use Coinbase. Oh, I don't have a bank account. I don't know, dude. Use something.
Well, yeah, most people have bank accounts, at least the people that we deal with.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then the answer is, even though we've had shows before, there are serious problems with Coinbase and Circle and whatnot, but they are the easiest ways in. You can link up a credit card and pay a couple % fee, or you can link up a bank account and pay like a 1% fee, and that is progress there. I think I have convinced people over the past few months to get involved, and Coinbase was the way to do it. And also Purse.io was kind of the reason to do it. I actually got multiple people on board just for Purse.io in the past few months. So, again, that's progress, but like I said, still on average, even though it's easier, most people just don't care. So, that's what I think.
That's definitely what it is, because you even know my roommate who's fucking playing Dungeons and Dragons over Skype right now and fucking blasting the people's goddamn voices so fucking loud it's showing up on my podcast because he can't fucking use the headphones.
Your roommate, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again,
that's what you talk about for coming out day.
Perfect on the coming out day. But he's talked about in the past using Bitcoin, using stuff like Purse, and the best... Like you explained it to him, I explained it to him. Apparently, I didn't explain it to him correctly because then you were like, "Oh, this," and he said, "Oh, no, I get it now." I'm like, "That's exactly what I fucking said," but it probably wasn't. You did probably explain it better. But yeah, we told him just use Coinbase. He hasn't done it yet. It takes a little bit of time. You have to put in what license and a proof of address, which.
Yeah.
Isn't hard for someone if they want to do it, but also Bitcoin doesn't have that attraction to like bring people into it. It doesn't have the attraction of the price or being in the news a lot, because also if it's in the news a lot, it at least makes it seem like the price could jump around, because then you can have like big panic things, which you can have anyway, but if you're not involved in it anyway, you're not going to notice. So the reason just to use Bitcoin for the average person doesn't really exist. Most people still aren't that concerned about government or a bank knowing where their stuff is.
Yeah. And this is another thing we've really said countless times on the show since the beginning, but that is partially a cultural or geographic thing, because in the U.S., yes, we know that our politicians are idiots. We know that our policies are a joke. We know that our laws are totally messed up. We know that our police are totally messed up. Everyone knows that. But the U.S., it's hard to say, but it's still you can get by here with a credit card and a bank account and a job or whatever you want. Even though it has all the problems, it still is just you get by, you live, and whatever. Whereas in other places, Bitcoin itself, even without Purse.io or whatever, Bitcoin itself can be a huge revolution, huge progress. Like what, Venezuela is it that's going through the hyperinflation right now? Or, people just Africa, where people start small businesses with it or whatever, or they replace their digital phone money with it and stuff like that. That stuff is possible in certain markets where Bitcoin can make a huge difference. But in the U.S., with all of our problems, it's still not that hard to just get by as we always have been. And most people don't see credit cards as a problem. And most people don't see ACH transactions as a problem. And most people don't see bank accounts themselves as a problem. And most people don't see the dollar as a problem, even though just a few episodes ago, I think it was 138, we mentioned how over 40 years, the course of an average career, over 40 years, anything that you save for retirement will lose 75% of its value. And people, it's America. People don't notice that. They don't think about it. And so they're not as interested in Bitcoin. Does that make sense? Would you agree that it can vary pretty significantly based on geography and culture?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and even in, like, you talked about how talking with your family, how people are a little bit still, like, more impressed by it, or like, yeah, that's not really how it is with my family even. Because I think a lot of I'm imagining more of your cousins are like that, or are you talking like aunts, uncles?
They just love me more. So if
that's
I'm
very
interested,
true. That is very true. Because like for the past 2 times at a family get together, I've said hi to my one of these cousins, and at this point, I just do it like kind of quietly, so that I can just say that she's not paying attention anyway. But like I normally do that, and then this last time I even said like, "Oh, hi, Anne." Nothing.
What?
I don't know, but my
right.
family may be like slowly all starting to shun me. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, like even just the difference in family, you can see who's more interested in stuff. But yeah, definitely American. I can't really think of a reason for the average person with the average person's, besides like saving money on stuff, I can't think of a reason to use it. Yeah.
Besides private transactions, if you have a reason, and besides Purse.io, just because it's just a niche market that worked out for a bunch of people. Other than that stuff, the biggest thing, I guess, would be privacy. Anyone in America who is using Bitcoin regularly and legitimately is probably just doing it because they want private transactions. And most people, the average people, don't really care. I mean, the bank will take care of it. It'll be fine. I have a password and it says green with the HTTPS, whatever. But anyone that really does care, I would bet, I mean, this is a total guess, but I would bet that 90% of the people that legitimately and regularly use Bitcoin in the U.S. just do it for privacy, and that's it, right?
Yeah, because it's not even that they don't care, but why wouldn't you just use the bank? Like, why? Most people would be like, I don't want control of my, like, I can send this to the wrong person and I won't get it back. Like, everybody just wants a credit card that they can just immediately just like, yeah, no, I didn't make that purchase.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to use PayPal. They're just like, yeah, no, I never got anything. So yeah, there's not literally Bitcoin.
It's like,
yeah, I don't want control of my money. Exactly.
It's like the reason I don't like Spotify is, well, I don't want to pick my music. I'm not doing all that work. Like, just go to Pandora and tell me what to listen to and play it for me. I don't want to waste time making a frickin' playlist. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Satoshi Dice is without a doubt the original and best Bitcoin dice game. At sd.umi and btc.com, you can sign up in seconds, set your own odds with the slider, and instantly start rolling the provably fair dice. You can even gamble directly on the blockchain. It's trusted, it's slick, and it's an absolute blast. Explore the dice game that started it all and win big at sd.umi and btc.com.
So we can see, like, people, I mean, it depends on what you want out of kind of what money you're going to pick, but also we started off this whole conversation talking about the ease of use and how it's kind of changed a little bit into, or we didn't even start it off, but I think that's like one of the biggest points is the ease of use now versus when it was back then, because we came in the OG days.
Well, okay, yeah.
I didn't have to be OG. I picked to be that way. The streets didn't choose me. I definitely chose them.
Yeah. Well, the barrier to entry is much lower, like we just said. It is easier to get into Bitcoin, I think. But despite that, I still think it actually needs a ton of work in terms of just general usability. I think a Bitcoin address is still the most confusing thing in the world. Some people actually like that. People like Amir Taki would say, well, screw you, that's how it works, and it keeps it more private and confusing, and we don't want anyone else to use it, okay? Which is fine. I mean, I'm not actually completely against that. But in terms of a product, in terms of a piece of software and money that people use, if it's going to continue growing, I think we need to, and we will see some improvements just in the way that wallets work and how you get addresses from one person to another and how you send money and stuff with QR codes and all kinds of stuff. I think it's going to be simplified in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it would have to be. But also, besides it being simplified, I know that banks get hacked, all kinds of companies get hacked, everybody loses their data, but I do think that companies and I guess Bitcoin users in general have to practice a little bit more security, or they don't have to, but I think it would help. Oh, yeah. It would help it make it look better, because now we were talking about like how it looks whenever you say you use Bitcoin. People will still be like, yeah, didn't the bank just get hacked? Because it's never that it's dying. It's never that Bitcoin is dead or something like that. It's just that, well, the last thing I heard about it was that an exchange got hacked and they lost 2 million. I'm like, but yeah, but
wait. What is the whole Bitcoin dying, exchanges going down? What does that have to do with?
I mean, most of the time on the news, it's not that Bitcoin is dead. They more just don't talk about it. But if you do hear something on the news, you do see something on Reddit.
What does that have to do with privacy or ease of use?
Ease of use, because I think the websites, besides making it easier to use, it needs to look
cleaner. Is that what you're saying?
The image of it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Okay. I don't know how you do that. I don't know if people need to focus more on security.
It needs to look like Venmo or PayPal. No, I'm not saying it needs to. I'm saying if it's going to explode, then it has to happen.
Yeah, it has to have that.
I personally don't care. I'm fine with it the way it is right now. I can use it. I do use it. I enjoy it, and I'm happy. Okay, cool. Let's scale it if you want to, but whatever. But in terms of continued growth, in terms of continued price increases, yeah, it will need to just be a lot smoother, a lot better reputation. It needs to just feel happy and delightful and positive. That's what I went
That's
to.
That's little bings whenever you do things, whenever you click buttons.
Well, yeah, exactly. It sounds dumb.
I'm like, ooh, I like this. Yeah.
It sounds dumb, but I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about design, and one of the highest rungs on the design ladder is delight. It has to be just enjoyable to use. That's one of the reasons Apple does so well, is because people just at least think that they enjoy using Apple products, and it really is delightful in a lot of ways. So Bitcoin doesn't really have any of that. Even the cleaner sites like Coinbase that are a lot like PayPal or Venmo and Circle, even those sites are just pretty generic, pretty plain, and they could use a lot of work. So
yeah, they're professional and they're done well, but they don't have what a lot of people nowadays want in a website or a web experience like that. And what I was saying before about them being more protected, maybe more polished, people protecting their money more, is that also then helps if you do bring it up to somebody, they don't look at you as, well, why would you use that? You just got a bunch of your money stolen, which it's happening to them, but it's not as visibly seen, and it doesn't have whistles when it happens.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what are we on to advice of the day then? Are we good to wrap up kind of just how Bitcoin has changed over the past few years and how it's a little bit easier to come out as a Bitcoin user, but still mostly it kind of is like actually coming out as being gay, where it used to be a big deal and now most people just don't care. Some people consider it positive and whatever, that's fine if you want to, but in general, most people are just like, okay, all right, fine, you're a person.
So we always knew you were like it since you were a child.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it is with Bitcoin too. It's like it's definitely not as negative as it used to be, but it's also not really positive in most cases. It's just like, all right, fine. So you're one of those people, okay?
There's more bad jokes to be made, I think, but I don't think I have anything like actually of any substance.
Are you ready for advice then? Do you have anything for advice?
Well, the first advice, if you want mainstream adoption, clean it up, everybody. Don't lose your money. We'll go back to the old, don't have your money in third-party wallets don't have a lot of money in third-party wallets. So that you don't lose $1,000 and tell your family that you lost $1,000 because you used Bitcoin.
Wait. Are you alluding
bad.
to stuff that happened to you, or are you just alluding to like Mt. Gox in general?
I'm just alluding to anything in general.
Yeah,
just website in general.
Do your part to keep Bitcoin's reputation positive. Don't get screwed over. That's basically what you're saying, because then other people are going to see it as a bad thing.
Yeah.
All right.
And my other part of my advice, because I want to break it up into that one, if you want mainstream, if you don't care, if you just want to be your own person, if you just want to live in Bitcoin how you see fit, in Bitcoin whoever you want to, I think just, I don't know, tell people, don't tell people, I don't really care. Be honest with people, don't be honest. You don't have to tell them you use Bitcoin. That's part of the thing of using Bitcoin. You don't have to be like, oh yeah, look everybody, I have this mycelium.
Do it. Buy Bitcoin.
You can do that, yeah. And if you want to make the price go up, do that. And then, yeah, do whatever you can to get people involved with it and get them to, like Bitcoin, have to come out to their families too.
Wait, I thought you just said don't do that. Are you saying don't do that or do it?
I'm telling people that I'm giving them conflicting information and advice so that they realize that they just have to make up their own damn minds and go do whatever they want.
All right. Well, here's my advice is totally off topic, but it's something I wanted to get to just briefly today because it was a big part of my day and it was kind of annoying, and we've always kind of made a point of letting, at the end of the show, anything goes. Oh, wow, that's actually pretty good. Crap, that's going to be our next slogan. At the end of the show, anything goes.
Anything goes.
I actually really like that. But we actually seriously have made that a point over the whole couple of years that we've been doing this. Anytime we have a guest, we ask them at the end for some sort of personal story, and we say anything goes. I mean, it's usually Bitcoin related, but any kind of interesting, funny, hilarious, bad, evil, anything goes at the end of an interview. And same thing for advice. We don't mind if it's related to the show or just totally off the wall. And so I'm going to pull one totally off the wall right now and toss out a little bit of a complaint at Samsung. I know I've been beating up on Apple for years, and I still don't like Apple. And instead, I used to love Samsung, or at least Android, Google, whatever. But, Samsung, they sent me an exploding phone, and it hasn't exploded yet, and I probably would be safe to use it, but because it might explode, I can't use it. Now, here's the biggest problem. It's without question. It's literally the best phone on the planet. I mean, that's not an advertisement. That's not really even biased. I mean, unless you're a hardcore Apple person, that's the only way you can argue with me is if Apple is your thing. Other than that kind of person, it's literally the best phone on the planet. It's got a big screen. It's got a fast processor, a big battery. It's got extra features, a thumbprint scanner, iris scanner, frickin' whatever you can think of, Android Pay. Okay, I don't mean to sound like I'm plugging for them. That's the reason I'm mad right now is because I can't replace it. There is literally, even the new phones that are on pre-order right now do not have all of the features as the frickin' Note 7. I know I'm ranting now, and I don't even want to because I don't hate Samsung. I actually love them because they make the best frickin' phone on the planet, but now I don't know what to do. All right. Okay.
Oh, calm down, Daniel. Calm down.
All right, I'm sweating now. Okay. All right, so I don't even know if I was saying good stuff about Samsung right there or bad stuff. It's a lot of both. I have mixed feelings. I've also been off nicotine for several days now, so I'm a little on edge. So, all right. Anyway.
It's not my fault.
So that wasn't really advice. That's the other thing. Anything goes, like we said. So if it's a thought of the day instead of advice of the day, it's a thought of the day. Then, so there it is. That's my thought of the day is I have no idea how I feel about Samsung right now. They make freaking amazing phones, but they have that extra feature where they can also double as a car bomb or an airplane bomb or something too. That's just one too many features, so I'm sorry.
Our phone now explodes. Yes, that's what I always wanted. But does it still call people? Is this really even a phone?
All right, guys, thanks for putting up with my rant right there. Thanks so much for joining us today. You are literally the best audience on the planet. I mean, Samsung makes the best phones, but we make the best audiences, the best communities, whatever. And that's actually not a joke. Like, we seriously, our download numbers are way up recently. We've been getting tons of engagement, comments, whatever. So make sure you find a good place to do that and participate. Me and BTC.com is a great place to do that. If you're listening on YouTube, we get plenty of comments there. Send us a tweet to @me and BTC.com. Seriously, thanks for being here and listening and being a part of this. We also want to tell you one more time, check out sd.umeandbtc.com for the original and the best Bitcoin dice game. And for yet another week, John Stewart is out of the studio, but he's with us at heart. So thanks for being here in your music, John, which should be playing right now. We love your music, and that's why we play it almost exclusively. And we'll see all of you guys next Thursday. Peace out.
Bye-bye. Ta-ta.